Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Blockchain After Dark. Blood is on the street. If you've been looking at the market over the past few days or week, it's just been down, down, down. And yeah, the markets are up a little right now, but they were down quite badly all day yesterday. If you look at the market cap, it's dropped down to about 109. It was around I think 108, 107 yesterday, last time I looked. And if you look at the damage done yesterday, we approached, for example, for Bitcoin, we were in the 3,200 zone, and a lot of coins fell. Interestingly enough, when all the coins were red, Bitcoin SV was going up and had actually, for a time being, for a few hours at least, replaced Bitcoin Cash ABC as the number 6 coin, and they were duking it out. There was some rumors about whether or not Bitcoin SV holders had dumped a lot of their Bitcoin Cash coins in order to pump up the Bitcoin SV price and overtake. Whether or not that's entirely true, who knows? I guess you could track that down more. If you look up the wallet transactions, you can see what known wallets got rid of any Bitcoin Cash during that time and exchanged it for Bitcoin SV. And you can see there the effect of this duel they're having is that Bitcoin SV is back under Bitcoin Cash after that initial pump happened yesterday and the day before. And so now that the markets are all slightly in the green again, Bitcoin SV, unsurprisingly, is going down. To be honest, it's kind of annoying to be discussing this little hash war almost a month into it. And the fact is that both of these particular coins are, led by, I don't care if you agree or don't agree with either of their leaders, right? Roger Ver or Craig Wright or, whoever else is involved, all these personalities in the whole hash war thing. If you're a Calvin Ayre fan or a Roger Ver fan or a, Jihan Wu fan or whatever, then you're all about the Bitcoin Cash ABC, and that's great. But let me ask you something. When Bitcoin Cash split hard fork from Bitcoin, right, in order to return to the original vision of Satoshi, supposedly, when they did that a year ago, if you were involved in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency a year and a few months ago, did you support the idea of returning to the vision of Satoshi? And if you did, is that why you supported Bitcoin Cash, if you did? Because if you did, then ask yourself this: why are the same people that fought for the splitting of Bitcoin in order to create Bitcoin Cash, why did those same people, like Roger Ver and his group at Bitcoin ABC, why did they split it in order to advance the vision? That doesn't, to change the technology, right? At first, a year ago, they split in order to not change anything from the vision. And now they split it in order to, yes, change it. And in a weird way, as much as Craig Wright, you may have whatever feelings or thoughts about him, it doesn't matter. He's a very accomplished scientist and makes some claims that are, not proven. Whether that makes him what he says he is or not, that's entirely someone else's opinion, anyone's opinion. He at least is consistently saying that he doesn't want to change the original Satoshi vision, right? He said that with Bitcoin Cash, right, when it split from Bitcoin. And he's saying that now with Bitcoin SV. He's remaining true to the Satoshi vision, according to him. Now, on a technology level, whether you agree with that or not, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, because when you change the tech that powers your Bitcoin away from the actual Satoshi white paper, then you've already split from the original vision. And the fact that they had the hard fork and split from the vision and then had another hard fork in order to supposedly return to the vision, it's not entirely a given that that's exactly what's happening. Even if you understand the technology at a very deep level, the fact that, for example, Satoshi's vision is largely controlled by a very small group of mining pools, it means it's already not decentralized, for example, which means it's not free by definition from censorship. It's not censorship resistant. It's not decentralized, right? It has weak points of failure. Essentially, if you took down a small number of nodes, you could essentially control Bitcoin SV and quite possibly even Bitcoin Cash ABC. Anyway, like I said, the whole fact that we're even debating or discussing this hash war still almost a month in, if anything, it's so distracting and so unnecessary. How do I say this? Like, if you want the crypto market to advance, if you want this bear market to end, it's not going to happen by having personality or ego contests. And to be honest, I don't actually think that either of the people leading these fights, or any of the people leading these fights, even think it's about their ego. I really don't. I mean, I know they seem egotistical to a lot of outside viewers, but I think they actually each genuinely believe that what they're doing is the right thing to do. And that's what makes this harder to resolve, because they're going to just keep doing this dance until one of them runs out of steam. And the net effect is not good for the overall market when you demonstrate that the entire decentralized concept can be gamed and hurt by an incredibly small number of actors who just happen to have a large quantity of the available coin. And you could argue, well, that's just capitalism at work. That's true. But it's capitalism without restraint, which is also fine, right, in a sense. But that doesn't bode well for the interests of either speculators or long term investors or the end consumer. Because what you're saying is, we have a great, wonderful capitalist tool. The only thing is, it's not really great if you're looking for stability, and therefore it isn't very useful, right? And it may be good for store of value, but not with constant volatility, right? You want your volatility to be under control when you are doing anything like store of value. And that's why you see even people doubting whether or not Bitcoin is good for store of value. But that is a completely different argument, because Bitcoin, unlike Bitcoin Cash or Bitcoin SV, and unlike many other, contemporaries in the crypto world, Bitcoin is actually, you know, grossly up over its initial price, right? When it started at pennies and is now in the thousands of dollars per coin. It has gone up consistently, you know, over the past 10 years. Yes, it's had bear years. It's had even, multiple bear years. Um, but overall, when it hits its new highs, they are, multiples of the previous high. And that has a net effect of growing the long-term store of value of Bitcoin. Because if the all-time highs keep pushing up, the growth of the price by factors, and then they even lose 80, 90% each time, but their lows still remain above the previous highs, right? Then you have essentially a growth pattern over the years. And if Bitcoin can remain valuable as a store of value in that way, then over time it can absolutely be considered to be an asset that can store value safely. Would you store the same amount or the same quantity of your assets in Bitcoin as you would in gold, looking for the same kind of stability as you do in gold? Well, to be honest, gold hasn't been that stable over the past 10, 20 years. It's had significant growth and significant drops. But, right, the moves tend to be a bit slower in terms of they take months and years to make rather than just weeks or days. So that's basically a quick look at what's going on with the actual coin market, just in that realm, in the Bitcoin realm. But if you look at other coin types like XRP, right? XRP it's been firmly a few $1 billion bigger market cap than Ethereum for the past, I don't know, at least a couple weeks, I think. And XRP, love it or hate it, Some people call it the banker's choice of all the coins because it's the one that's going to be operating the closest with all the banks, etc., and all the institutions and markets and governments. They clearly have put those relationships in place. Bitcoin is the granddaddy, and it likely has the most institutional investment behind it, just in terms of sheer numbers, because more people know about it, more people are going to back it. It's the brand name that carries the industry. But XRP is not even secretly, the bankers, cryptocurrency. Essentially, it's the solution for many of their problems because it's able to free up a lot of the capital they have by using their process of transmitting funds from one side of from one currency type to another, and using XRP to basically wash it or convert it. Essentially, XRP is a converter essentially, and that currency has been holding up fairly well compared to Bitcoin. It's been seeing drops too, significant. They're down around 30 cents now or so. And keep in mind, their all-time high is like 350 or something from about a year ago. So if XRP goes back to its all-time high from now, just like most coins, we're talking 10x roughly, or even more, 10, 11, 12x at this point. Same with Ethereum, right? Ethereum has been, maybe it was overhyped in 2016 and 17, right? With all the ICOs that came about in 2017, maybe Ethereum was too early to deliver on the promise of what it can do as the world's supercomputer. But, right, Ethereum also brought along the smart contracts to this whole space and has developed something incredibly useful for organizations or individuals who are engaging in any kind of contract with anyone else. Ethereum brings that to the table and is very innovative and is, a bit faster in theory than Bitcoin, and it has a lot of advantages and a massive amount of developers. But now all these developers are, panicking because the price is so low. It was more than $1,000 an Ethereum coin last year. It was like something like $1,300 at one point, and now Ethereum is down under three digits. Right, it's a two-digit coin, like the CEO of I think BitMEX said recently that it would be, and there it is. It's under $100 if you want some cheap Ethereum. Yesterday it was in the 80s. Right, they're having a bit of a rebound today because things were just so grossly oversold. Like, have we reached a point where the marketing of crypto is basically dead? I don't think so. Right? Have we reached a point where there's no more confidence in the market and it's just going to go the way of the dodo bird? Again, I don't think so. What's the short-term prospects? Well, we might have another. What we're watching right now could easily be a dead cat bounce. Right? It could easily be later today or tomorrow, or I guess Monday when people come back to work. We might see it drop even further. Like, don't be surprised if you see it go to 1,500 or 1,300. That's a lot of analysts have discussed how that's like that's probably the next support zone is around $1,300. Right? If you look at analysts like the Traveling Crypto or Alessio Rastani, or even if you look at Thinking Crypto's views on the whole, holding long term because we could still have ups and downs. These guys are, they know clearly some TA pretty well. They're just YouTubers, obviously, so don't take anyone's opinion, including my own, as financial advice. This is really just entertaining and for fun. But maybe, at least for me, I get some use out of it. I find it insightful to look at what coins are doing and how they're moving and how they're marketing themselves. What stories are they putting out there? And right now, we're finding that a lot of the stories that people are putting out there are, the biggest brands are actually avoiding a lot of storytelling right now. And if they're doing any, it's a lot of it has to do with regulation and all the obstacles and challenges they face, and it's not always great news, right? And the smaller ones are just shutting up until the markets make a decision, and then they can start talking again, because nobody wants to put out great news during a down market. It doesn't work. I mean, look at, that's the Bitcoin price over the last week. Not good, right? Here's that dip. You could have bought it yesterday around $3,300, 32 something. I don't know about you. I triggered a lucky purchase. Yeah, it was nice to get some Bitcoin at 3,200 or whatever the price was. Very cheap relative to the past year. If you look at the news, right, here we go. Blockchain policy development in China concentrated in 3 cities. Right? On the side stories, you see all these side stories here. U.S. SEC finds Delaware-based digital asset funds and issues cease and desist order. Right. Ethereum is looking to hard fork in mid-January. Right. And you see all these different topics where basically The government is getting in the way. Technology is, shooting itself in the foot. Technology leaders are shooting themselves in the foot. People are, having infighting and civil wars. This is literally blood in the streets at its most absolute clearest optics. Like, if you've ever wondered when is the time that investors are investing, let me tell you something. Investors like these guys, the brothers of Gemini, who everyone knows, these guys here who started Gemini and have accrued a couple 100,000, at least 100,000. They're at the Winklevoss twins. They have at least 100,000 coins, probably closer to a couple 100,000, which means they own, right, like at least 1%, maybe a couple percent of all the available Bitcoin in the world. When you think about that, think about if an individual owned 1% of all the available cash in the world, or all the available dollars in the world, one individual, right? That would be immense, right? Well, you've got people like, Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, who almost, they own almost 100 billion, or a couple, between the two of them, a couple 100 billion, and tossing Warren Buffett a few 100 billion. Each of them is roughly, let's say, 100 billion each, plus or minus. That's a lot of money. But that's not actually a percent of all the dollars, right? That's like 0.0001% or whatever, 0.1%. It's a small amount relatively of all the dollars. But in Bitcoin, you've got actually individuals who own whole percentages. Maybe the Winklevosses split it. I guess they're brothers or something. But there are other people, other organizations. Grayscale has a percent of all the Bitcoin as one organization. Grayscale. And you see all of these institutional buyers, right? Yet you see this FUD, where you see this fear and uncertainty and doubt, where the SEC is now doing things like, going after coins and projects they don't like, right? Whether they're right or wrong to do it, it doesn't matter. They're going after projects. They're spending their time and effort chasing people, chasing what they consider to be bad actors. And they're doing things like blocking the decision or deferring the decision on whether or not to have a Bitcoin ETF. They're pushing that literally until the very last date possible, right? So they're waiting until February 27th, 2019 to give a decision on a Bitcoin ETF. Why? Why do they need to wait, right? Waiting, what does that do? Well, that allows the players who run their ETFs to have as much time as they could possibly get under the law to prepare for having an ETF. That's one idea. Another idea is they're really evaluating whether or not this ETF thing by Van Eck is a good idea. Really? Really? It takes you all that much time to evaluate? No. They've delayed and delayed and delayed again to decide because of market conditions that are at play, and they don't want to disrupt the boats, and they don't want to upset the biggest players who are going to make markets and break markets. They want to make sure that they do the right thing according to their orders to allow, fair play. That's absolutely right. But fair play means here we go. SEC again delays decision on Van Eck. They're making sure that the field is level for everyone, starting with the big players, right? If you missed the boat, right, as a retail investor a year ago or 2 years ago, and you didn't buy in, or you FOMO'd in when it was all the all-time highs, and now you're just at minus. If you're out of this by now and you're no longer interested in this by now, then you've walked away and you're not coming back until you hear it's going back up again and the whole deal. If you FOMO'd in and you were believing in this enough to hang on and you're not going anywhere and they can't buy you out no matter what, great, you have an opportunity, maybe now, maybe soon, who knows when, but when this hits the absolute bottom, and it is already low enough that I would say for myself, this is a great time to be looking. I wouldn't say that for anybody else, but for me, this is a wonderful time to be looking. It feels like a right on time Hanukkah, or an early Christmas or Kwanzaa, depending on what holiday you're celebrating this month. Or is it a late Festivus? Anyway, the whole point of having decisions by the SEC and having decisions by Congress, here we go, 2 congressmen introducing bills to prevent crypto price manipulation, right? They're doing that to create an air of, we are going to make stability under the law for crypto, even though crypto lives beyond the reaches of the United States in theory. In theory. And even though the SEC announcing an ETF isn't necessarily even good for crypto, because crypto has lived all this time without ETFs, and ETFs won't actually bring people actual coins, right? You're selling an ETF of a coin. So people buying the ETF won't actually be buying the underlying asset, which isn't necessarily great because that encourages a lot of short selling, right? I mean, that's quite common in ETFs. You have people buy them. Yeah, some people buy them to long-term hold them, but a lot of traders buy them because they know they can short them and cause, short squeezes and the like, and they can create, false profits, not profits, but profits, and do all kinds of manipulation. So ETFs don't necessarily bring stability, but they do bring government approval and all this kind of regulation and market approval. And the institutional investors, again, they're not setting up an ETF in order to lose money, right? They're the house. They're going to make money on every exchange. They're going to make money on every buy order and every sell order. They're just going to make money. They're the house. But they wouldn't be investing in this way of making money as the house unless they believed it could make money, right? Like, think about it. When there was no institutional investment, no government talk about an ETF, no congressman talking about how to prevent price manipulation, no deals with um, really, cheap, relatively cheap coins available on Bitcoin and Ethereum last year, and even Bitcoin Cash was expensive last year, and all these other coins were expensive a year ago. We reached crazy all-time highs compared to the actual utility of these coins, and there were no ETFs involved, and there was plenty of volatility, and there was plenty of wonderful returns for smart speculators who knew how to buy low and sell high. Now, we're at a point where essentially we have that opportunity again. And we see that we have more and more big money coming in when the market is down. Why would big money be investing in this if the market is really going to die? It doesn't make any sense. By the way, just one quick mention regarding that whole BitHash war we were talking about. Yeah, so there's a mining firm that actually got rather p-offed at Roger Ver and Bitmain for basically doing what they call hijacking of the Bitcoin Cash war, right? And they basically claim that the hard fork caused them significant damage financially, and therefore they're suing the people who pushed that particular fork. Is it surprising that such a thing has happened? No. And again, it's an example of why it's not good to have these petty pissing contests. It just doesn't help anyone, certainly not the industry. And it underscores the sort of amateurishness of several projects still going on. So we see all these kind of stories. We, review tons of news, largely so you don't have to. And we consider, what is it that they're talking about at the level of, higher level industry players, higher level market makers. What do all these indications mean? Look at this. Low in the 24 hours, $3,244, right? I mean, BTC has gone down from almost 20,000 a year ago, 15, 20,000 in that range, to under 4,000 solidly for the past few days, several days. And it shows that while you have all this big money coming in and all these OTC coins being bought, it makes no sense whatsoever that the price is this low, except that it's being manipulated by big money to get the last weak hands to sell, to get them out of the market as much as possible, so that the wealthy bankers, the wealthy, the money can buy as much coin as possible and be in place with a sort of, an artificially evened level playing field made after the fact by the powers that be, who know how to drive markets down by making, purchases and sales and basically forcing out the last holders who bought a year ago, 14 months ago, people who can't hold on anymore because they're approaching, losses at this point, or they're definitely already very in the red. I think most people who bought in around probably January, December, November, January. I think most of those people have already parted the field. Not all, obviously, but many of them, most of them. The ones they're getting rid of now are the ones who bought in about 12, 14, 15, 16 months ago, before the crazy bull run of 2017 really happened. In that gap from like January to like August of 2017, those are the people now who are nervous, and the people just ahead of them from like August to November, they're or August to October, whatever, they're right now selling out. Whoever of them is actually still selling out, because a lot of them still believe in this stuff and they don't want to sell. They realize the game and they realize this is their opportunity. And if they bought in at a relatively cheap price, like $1,000, $1,200, $1,400, $800, whatever they got it at, even if it dips below that, why would they sell? At that point, they would probably just take the opportunity to buy more. Because again, why would you have all of this big money buying in? Why would you have things like, Venezuela, right, going to use the petro, right, its own crypto, to sell oil? I mean, why would that happen? Whether you agree with the politics of Maduro or not is completely moot. The fact that a government is saying we are switching from dollars to our own cryptocurrency to sell our main natural resource, whether they do or not, it sends a clear signal that crypto is on the rise, not going away. When you see people who are talking about the price of crypto, right, as an indicator that it's dead, right? People who say, "Oh, crypto is, it's going the way of the dodo because look, it hasn't succeeded and it's been around 10 years already." That's exactly the moment that other investors are pulling the buy switch, because they hear the fear, they hear the uncertainty, they hear the doubt, and they say, okay, I get it. Now is the time when you're scaring everybody with your silly talk about not liking crypto, right? And then at the same time, you're buying it. It's very, I don't want to stay on this too long, but it is absolutely stunning to see. If you Google, for example, FUD watch, right? See a lot of content here now, but if you actually go to search for crypto is dead, right, you'll find a lot of articles asking, is crypto dead? Is crypto going to zero? Right? Or is crypto dead? Right? You find a lot more articles even. Is crypto dead? And at the same time, there has been a sharp increase in the number of searches related to Bitcoin wallets. There you go. Look at this. This particular graphic right here, taken from a search tool online called SpyFu, or however they pronounce it, shows you the trend line, right, from position 50 to position 0 of the searches for Bitcoin wallets over the past 4 years. And you can see back in 2014, it was like Bitcoin wallet was downranked below number 50. And it has grown steadily. And look how it has grown in 2018, despite the bear market, right? And this is really the heart of this whole video. Despite the bear market, we have seen the number of people interested in Bitcoin wallets and in crypto wallets and in blockchain wallets and all kinds of wallet related searches. We've seen them go up and up and up. This year, when everything was sell, sell, sell on the markets, people were looking for, well, where do I store my Bitcoin? Well, guess who they're selling to? They're selling to someone who's buying. Well, whoever's buying that Bitcoin, and they're getting it on the downside, they're getting it on the, on the cheaper and cheaper every day, but they got to put their money somewhere. They're looking for Bitcoin wallets, right? If you look also, you see all kinds of different sites that are selling different services for wallets, different services for crypto. It's a very clear trend line, right? And this one is just for Bitcoin wallets, a very clear example of what has happened in the past year. This is the red line represents an average of the rankings for the top 10 sites that rank for the search Bitcoin wallet. And you can see that these top 10 sites that rank for the search Bitcoin wallet have been steadily going up for the past year like crazy, right? And they've been going up for the past 4 years, but much slower. In the past year, literally since the crash, these things have spiked. Now you're gonna tell me that people are gonna say, "Oh, yeah, the market is saying, oh yeah, crypto's dead," when rankings of search pages have increased 400% in the last year. You're gonna tell me that that's an accident, right? That rankings of Bitcoin wallets have shot up 400% when people are looking to get rid of it? Something doesn't add up there, right? That just doesn't add up. So think about that. Right now, when people are thinking about holidays, when people are thinking about relaxing, when people are thinking about having a good time, what is going on that really matters? Is it stocks? No, stocks are dying. I mean, yeah, they're going to live and be great and wonderful and everything. And you could say that this year has been much better for stocks overall, but they're clearly badly exposed to all kinds of near-term problems. And there is very likely a recession in the US on the horizon, and it's already starting to impact other markets around the world. If you don't believe me, just look at the charts for what's going on in Europe and Asia on their stock markets. It's not pretty. What's going on in their currency markets, again, not pretty. But what is going on? The single biggest, most important revolution in technology is happening, and it's crypto. It's blockchain. People say to me, "Oh, Bitcoin I hate. I don't like crypto. I like blockchain." Blockchain is crypto, people. Okay, yeah, there's other use cases. Find me one nearly as big. There isn't. Okay? Blockchain is crypto. If you don't understand that, you don't understand blockchain. There are other forms of it. There are other forms of cryptocurrency that don't require a blockchain. Right? There's DAGs and Tangles and all kinds of other wonderful devices for making cryptocurrencies. But blockchain, the basis of Bitcoin, is the single biggest use case of cryptocurrency and blockchain on the internet today. Period. So don't get fooled. Don't let people tell you, "Oh yeah, don't invest in crypto, don't invest in Bitcoin, but get into blockchain." That's a ridiculous thing to say. Yeah, you should get into blockchain, and it's the same as Bitcoin, and it's the same as many other currencies, right? Because that's their use case of their blockchain. And if you do get into cryptocurrency, then really what you need is a crypto wallet, right? You absolutely need a crypto wallet. And when you get your crypto wallet, where are you going to get your crypto wallet? Well, if you look at the interweb and you type in getablockchainwallet.com, you will land on a very simple web page that I made to answer this question. Basically, you can look at reviews of the leading hardware wallets. Other wallets are going to be added as well, but for now we're looking at the leading hardware wallets because those are the ones that actually protect your crypto the most. Those are the ones that actually give you the kind of security you need. Those are the ones that actually take your money offline and put it in your own hands, as opposed to trying to secure your wallet or your crypto in an insecure manner using any of these software wallets that you might have seen online. As great as software wallets are, anything that is on a network is by definition not secure, right? It's maybe more secure than many other networks, but it isn't 100% secure. The only way to really completely secure your crypto is something like a paper wallet or a very advanced hardware wallet that is never online. It only connects to your device physically in order to transmit stuff, but it doesn't actually ever connect itself to the internet, right? So there are sites for that. Getablockchainwallet.com is a new one, which we put up to help people. It's just straight reviews, honest reviews, and that's it. We don't actually sell the wallets on the site. You actually click on the links that take you through our affiliate links. It takes you right to the actual official store, so you know you're buying it from the trusted authority source. Because again, this is crypto, right? We wouldn't want to move wallets through ourselves unless, the audience wanted that. The the shopper wants to know that their wallet is coming to them securely, and that means get it from the maker. And, you can also buy it from Amazon if it's actually from Amazon and not from just a vendor or reselling it on Amazon. Never buy used crypto wallets. Always protect your investments, just like you have to do your own research and just like you have to invest for yourself and be responsible for your own financial decisions. The same goes with protecting your assets. If you're not protecting your assets, what are you doing? Why are you messing around with cryptocurrency if you're not going to bother to protect your money? If you have cash, do you have a bank account? If you don't have a bank account, do you have some other way to secure your cash? Because if you don't, I bet you don't have a lot of cash laying around, right? If it's really easy for someone to steal it from you, people are going to steal it from you. So again, getablockchainwallet.com. Check out that site. It's very useful for anybody who needs a blockchain wallet. And more importantly than that, I want to leave you people with this uplifting reminder that there's actually a growing amount of likelihood that not only will the ETF happen, the VanEck ETF, the longer it's delayed, the more likely it is to happen because they've given the actors more time to prepare. But actual governments and institutions are looking to the future and saying crypto is actually very bright, right? When you think about all of what we just spoke, what I've just mentioned here, it's quite evident that we're going to see incredible gains once again in crypto in the coming years. Is it going to happen next week, next month, in 2019? Nobody can promise you that. Is it likely to happen in 2019? Or are we likely to have another bear market? I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think it's going to happen in 2019. It's not going to be immediate. I don't think so. It's going to take time. But we're going to see the start of the growth happen in 2019 at some point. Why do I say that? Well, the big money doesn't want to sit around and wait on losses for another year. They're not retail investors. They work to make sure that their money works for them, right? That's their job. That's what these professional Wall Street guys do. Guys and girls. Don't want to be genderist in that statement. It's very clear that if you have billions of dollars to invest around the place, in some cases, companies like Fidelity have trillions of dollars, right? If you have billions or trillions of dollars to play with, you probably are going to put some of that money in the projects you've already assigned onto crypto, and you don't want to sit and make it wait to grow for years. Retailers, maybe, yeah, they can do that. But if you're in the money game, that's your job day in, day out, you want this thing to grow relatively soon. You don't want to just keep losing money on it for another year, right? So are they going to force the bottom to happen in the next week or two? Maybe. Did Ethereum crash to $13 for a moment and somebody made 700% gains by having a random buy order placed for that extremely unlikely price? Yeah, that happened, right? Unlikely things happen. Is it a coincidence? Probably. Somebody had put in a random buy order on a whim on some random market where the price of Ethereum happened to snap to $13 for a moment, and that buy order went in, and that buyer saw like 700% returns in minutes, right? Whether they sold them off and took the profits, who knows? But that's fantastic, right? Where does it happen outside of crypto? It's very rare. So on that positive note, I want to say thanks again for watching. Thanks again for being here. And I absolutely appreciate you taking the time to watch. If you want to show some love, give me a like, a subscribe, share this. If you think Bitcoin After Dark could use some other ideas for topics to discuss in the future, by all means, if you think of any guests I should invite to interview, let me know. check out the links below. Subscribe to stuff. You can actually get updates about a number of different crypto projects and crypto products in the comments and the links below. Everything from wallets to where to get mining contracts to where to get crypto information for marketing. All those different kinds of products and services you might need. Which community there is, there's a community crypto down below as well that I discuss in the notes I mentioned. There's a number of different projects in there. Have a look around. And of course, if you buy anything and you want to buy through any of my affiliate links, I absolutely appreciate it because that helps this channel. And that'll be it for now. So have a good weekend. Get out there, see the world. Don't be stuck at your monitor looking for the prices and every single minute. But do keep an eye on it, right? Because we are at or near the lows. That is what I believe firmly. And if we don't see the very, very lows happen this week or next week or before the new year, well, like I said, don't waste every minute at the screen, but absolutely do keep an eye on this market because this is very likely going to be super interesting next 12 months. So, all right, folks, on that note, we are done. Have a great day and take care.